Hey, everybody. Hey. Happy Monday. Thank you so much for joining us today. I was going to say this morning, but it's now this afternoon.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. And today I am so excited and really proud of the wonderful lady that I'm talking to today, Emma Gosling. Emma's been in our Kite Mastermind since January. And Emma and I were chatting last week, actually, on her strategy call about the work that she does. And I just had to invite her to come and talk about her own experiences being a clinical hypnotherapist and also a mindset mentor herself, about the importance actually of working on both the practical side and the mindset side of business and entrepreneurship. And Emma's transformation has just been incredible. And I really wanted to bring her onto the podcast today and onto this live stream to share her experiences. And we're also going to talk about one of the niches that Emma really focuses on is helping women to stop being overgivers and to start really recognizing the value that they have for themselves in order to grow their businesses. So, Emma, welcome to our live stream and our podcast interview. How are you this afternoon?
Hi, Catherine. Thanks so much. It's so great to be here. This is one of my goals, to be on your podcast.
Oh, well, let's celebrate that. You're on the podcast.
Yeah, that's one of my rocks.
Oh, great. Oh, you have to tell people what rocks are now. They'll be like,
Yeah. This is one of Catherine's little things that she talks about, as to get to focus on our three main rocks and being more visible and speaking opportunities has been one of my big rocks. And so the moment that my mindset kind of switched from that, it's just like the doors of opportunity just started opening up everywhere. And I've been invited to 2 summits now as well. And so it's all going amazing.
Oh, so good, Emma. So good. And that's the challenge, right? When we're an entrepreneur, when we're in business, that mindset shift is often the bit that holds us back from our, reaching our true potential. And actually, we talked about this last week. For those of you that joined me on the last week's stream, I was speaking to Carol, who was also in the Kite Mastermind. She focuses in the corporate world. And we talked about this, the journey really of entrepreneurship, because it's never a flat line, is it? It never goes to plan. There's always ebbs and flows in our businesses. And it's being tolerant of those ebbs and flows without having to necessarily try and control it. It's about feeling safe when things are going really well and when things don't go quite to plan. But Emma, one of the things that you shared with me last week was about the mindset shift for you last year to where you are literally 5 months later. Could you just talk us through that experience for you? So for anyone listening to this who may be in a similar situation, what they can learn from that experience.
Yeah, so up until Christmas, I would say I was working, but I wasn't running a business. That's that. Even though I've had a business, I was a holistic therapist before doing what I do now. I've had a business since 2014, but not really running a business. And so I've had various coaches. I knew that I wanted something different. I knew that there was something bigger for me out there, and it was time to really kind of get a hold of how to run a business financially, financial planning. I mean, I work with people with their mindset, but I had no financial education or practical experience. It's like pension. What's that? But if you're not paying attention to these things, that's the kind of other side of mindset. You've got to take the action as well. You've got to have the plan, not just the self-belief and the self-worth. The two things have to come together. And so, I was looking for something. I've been following you for a long time, since I found you to come on my summit last year. So I knew that I wanted to work with someone or be mentored by someone who was already really successful, and I knew I was going somewhere, following that person. And so when I saw you were advertising Kite, I was like, yeah, this this is definitely for me. And yeah, since I've started, I've nailed my niche, which has given me, much more clarity. It's given me a better structure. I've learned from your guest experts, from your experience about, the value ladder that we have. I've been doing who not how, so I've got myself a VA. I mean, now I'm a proper business. I've got a VA. And I just didn't realize how much it was going to change my life. I've got my financial plan coming up, and when I first spoke to Victoria, and I said to her, this is what I want. It's quite a big dream. And she just said, oh, that's totally possible. That's totally possible for you. And I was like, oh, wow, that was just like so amazing for me to hear. And kind of, it's kind of given me the big kick up the bum to really make it work. So yeah, I made back my investment from Kite. I had my best month in April ever in my business since we started Kite. So yeah, those are a few of the changes.
Oh, I'm so proud of you, Emma. Emma, so talk us through some of those things you shared there. Like, by no means small feats, right? Creating a financial plan, giving ourselves or someone giving you permission that it's okay to have dreams and it's okay to realize those dreams, and outsourcing to a virtual assistant. Like, so many things in there that I just want to dig a little bit deeper in. So which one of those things did you tackle first? Was it outsourcing to grow, or was it the plan?
I think it was sort of happening at the same time, really. I was joking with you on Friday saying, oh, I'm a bit of a slow burner sometimes when it comes to this stuff, but I realize it just happens at the pace it happens, and these things happen. It's kind of, there I am, and then suddenly bang, it's like the next level. And I'm quite an impatient person, and so I want things like yesterday. And so that's been really good for me, having the the check-ins with you and the coaching, because it's really kept me like more on an even keel, rather than, impatience can lead to rash decision making, and then you sort of, not focused. You don't have the clarity, and that's what I needed most of.
And what did you fear when you came into Kite around creating, I guess being more proactive rather than reactive around money? Like, you talk here about, Victoria is our financial planner. So we, for everyone who comes through our mastermind, all of you have including myself. Like, I even had my own financial plan done with a financial planner, even though I am a financial planner myself, because, sometimes it is more of the mindset work, and sometimes it's more of the practical work, and sometimes it's a bit of both, isn't it? But did you have any particular kind of challenges or things that you were worried about before you came into that process of actually talking about your financial future and what you wanted for yourself?
I had a little bit of shame over not having looked at it before, thinking, God, what have I been doing? How have I got to this stage of my life? And I've sort of not paid attention to this. And so that was kind of helped by, just everyone just being so open and honest and sharing their own, vulnerabilities and things in the group. So what was the other bit that you said? Sorry. Just take it.
I think I asked you two questions there. Your brain was like, wow, which one do I ask first? That was very impolite of me. So I guess really where I'm coming from is that I get various emails, like multiple emails a day. In fact, I've just received one this afternoon from a Q&A session that I did in somebody's group. And a lot of the time we really hesitate, these kind of challenges, whether it's mindset challenges or practical challenges, stop us from maybe reaching out to work with a coach or a mentor or a financial planner. And I was just curious to whether you had any particular fears or anything that you were worried about, I guess, before you came into the mastermind and actually started working with myself and with Victoria.
So I think probably that's why I got a bit distracted. The kind of shame thing was quite a big thing for me. Like, how have I been doing this without, you know, paying attention to this? And then secondly, I thought, oh, I don't know if I'm going to understand this. You know, it was suddenly like, oh, well, this is numbers, and this is kind of, I thought, oh, it's graphs and mathematical stuff, and I've always sort of told myself, oh, I'm not very good at that stuff. So, you know, there's a mindset block there, isn't there?
Yeah, but so common, right? Because
yeah.
you know, many of us don't have a financial education, and therefore the stories that we've created, that we tell ourselves about, well, money's just complicated, it's all about the numbers, you know, is because we think it's all about the money. And I think certainly all of us in the mastermind so far this year have all learned, including myself, you know, it's not really about the money, it's about the meaning that we're attaching to money, and what stories we continue to tell ourselves about money. And I definitely think, Emma, with even just what you've shared today, that there's so many women, men that can resonate with that, you know, that often we do tell ourselves, well, I'm not good with numbers, or I didn't do very well at school with maths, so therefore I'm going to find it really challenging to think about money. What was the journey like, Emma, then for you, of being around other entrepreneurs and other female leaders in their space? What did that enable you to do that you wouldn't have been able to do without the collective support of being around other women?
That has been amazing. I'm really glad that I chose a group mentoring program rather than an individual one. At the beginning, when I first went in the group, I had a tiny bit of imposter syndrome. I was like, oh, you know, I thought, oh, some of these women have come from, you know, very high level senior positions in corporate world. That's not my experience. I was thinking, oh, how will I relate to, you know, how will that kind of pan out? And we've all found ways of supporting each other, helping each other out. You know, I'm talking to some of them about potential collaborations in the future with our businesses, and that has been like priceless for me, really priceless. And having those, you know, those similar common threads that women tend to have, you know, in our business, that we need to kind of realize that we don't keep owing people stuff. We can have for ourselves. We can enjoy the fruits of our labor and whatever without feeling guilty and shame and things like that. And we've all helped each other out. That's been amazing, really amazing.
And what a great segue into the whole challenge around giving and receiving. Because a lot of women, you know, who are running their own businesses, will feel much more comfortable maybe to receive, or more comfortable to give. And this is the work that you help people with, Emma, isn't it? You really help women to really think about their relationship with themselves and their relationship with what happens when we overgive, what happens to our boundaries, what happens with our energy levels. So talk to us a little bit about the work that you do to help entrepreneurs. What kind of challenges do you see with that kind of overgiving relationship?
Sorry, you just cut out at that last bit there. Can you just repeat that? That was my internet, I think. So sorry.
That's okay. We've got a bit of a stormy weather, I think, brewing up both sides of our villages right now.
Yeah, you went to the robot voice.
That's okay, Emma, no worries. So with the work that you do and the help that you provide for female entrepreneurs, what happens when women overgive? What kind of challenges do you see when women overgive?
Well, overgiving, we think of giving as being, you know, a good thing. It's kind of, it's labeled as good. And I think it can be dressed up in many different ways, dressed up as being kind, altruistic, being helpful, being motherly, being protective. But when does giving turn into overgiving? When we're actually not giving to ourselves, when sometimes we take away other people's power to do things for themselves, because we might step in too quickly and try and rescue them. There's that tendency in some women to be the rescuer, feeling that they have to save other people. A lot of this, a lot of the work that I do, we uncover why someone has that particular relationship with other people, what has gone on in their upbringing that has given them their subconscious programs, which we kind of get between 0 and 7, that has created this need to overgive, and it can make us feel useful, needed, and validated. But then if we are overgiving our time and we don't feel appreciated, or we don't get it doesn't get reciprocated, or if we're overgiving our money and we're living off the kind of scraps because we're giving too much away, then that starts to affect, firstly, our physical well-being. If you're burnt out, your mental health, if you're feeling resentful, stressed, anxious about getting because you get into a cycle of overgiving, and it can become expected by other people as well. Where you're at that point, suddenly then, if you want to change the way you are with other, with your giving nature, then there's that fear of, oh, what if I get judged? Or what if people suddenly expect something from me and they're not getting it? Will I be criticized? And then there are all these fears of rejection. It's one of our deepest fears, is rejection from the tribe. We've got to stay as connected and be as accepted as possible, because on an unconscious level, we need to feel that we are part of something and not rejected. And so those are the challenges that come up, really, of how do I get from there to there without, firstly, kind of understanding or wanting. There has to be a desire to change the way you are with yourself, but then also overcoming what you think other people will think of you for changing your behavior. So those are some of the challenges that I see.
And I think that sense of connection is so needed right now, more than ever before. We felt so disconnected, haven't we, in the last 12 months? And I mean, before we came on this interview, I was saying to Emma that I have this app that I use every single day with my best friends called Marco Polo. And I can honestly say, without that connection, because I've not been able to see them, I honestly don't know where I would be now from last year, because we all need a sense of deeper connection. And that's one of the things I've just adored about this, about the Kite Mastermind, is just the connections. And I don't mean just for me holding the space. I mean, for all of us, like, all supporting one another has just been incredible. And I value, everybody in the masterminds, deeply, because of the connection that we create and the opportunities to get our work and our mission out to the world. And Emma, you talked there about this kind of desire to be loved and this desire to feel connected, and the fear that other people may judge us or make comment on that. How do people get past that? What can they do? What can they do about that?
Well, if you think about the things that you might tell yourself about, your fears of being judged, etc., then if you're good at boosting other people's self-worth, telling your children that they're good enough and that they can be or do whatever they want, but you're not telling yourself that, then there's a disconnection between your inner child, basically, because you wouldn't if you had a younger version of yourself, say the 7-year-old version of yourself with you wouldn't say, I'm going to get in your way, I'm going to stop you achieving your dreams, I'm going to make sure that that you feel fearful if you're, if you speak up or stand up for yourself or stand out. We would never do that. And so one really good way to connect with that is to actually imagine, you're coaching that little version of you. I've got a picture of me age 3 with a really dodgy hairstyle that I think about. If I'm having a bit of a rough day and I've been a bit hard on myself, and I always think about that picture and think, oh my gosh, if that little girl was with me now, I'd just scoop her up in my arms and I would tell her she's okay and that everything's going to be all right. And it is getting back in touch with that all those parts of us that fear the judgment. And because we're 95 to 99% of our life is being run by our subconscious, and those are programs we inherited or were learned up until about the age of 7. Then we need to work out what has gone on there that has created these beliefs, and then you can actually, when you understand them, you can actually reframe them and you can upgrade them as well, which is part of the work that I do. So
I love that word upgrade as well. It's like sometimes I think we struggle with the word change, like change your mindset, change your life, because change feels difficult sometimes. Change your financial future. That word change, which it only dawned on me this morning while I was having a conversation with somebody on a podcast, that sometimes we're challenged with that word change. But I love the word up level, because I think, we could do that simply just by walking around our house and thinking, like, what could we up level? What could we upgrade? And that feels like motivating and quite empowering to be able to do that. Whereas change feels difficult sometimes.
Yeah, we're quite resistant to the word change because our minds love the familiar, like things to stay the same, even if what is familiar is very uncomfortable. That's what we're used to. And so I was just looking because I've got an old Nokia little brick phone, and so I often get that out as a little prop and say, if you had this to work with and someone said, here, run your business from this, you'd be straight down to the O2 shop or whichever mobile phone shop, and you'd say, get me an upgrade. And actually unless you do the inner work on yourself and you do that work to actually upgrade your neural circuitry, you are running on outdated programs and beliefs about yourself, just like that little brick phone. I wish I should have got that ready.
My head's literally just gone. That's massive, isn't it? Like, how often we find it pretty easy, I would say, for the majority of people. Maybe I shouldn't make that assumption, but I would certainly say from the friends that I have, we upgrade our phones quite regularly. But how often do we upgrade our sense of self? How often do we upgrade our habits, our beliefs, our behaviors? How often do we actually even look at what beliefs do we carry? Which of those have we inherited? Which ones of those serve us? Which ones don't? Because that's really where the magic happens, isn't it? It's with the mindset work that you do with clients. That's when you can bring them into a position of possibility so that they can feel deserving to upgrade their life as well as their mobile phones.
Yeah. And sometimes it takes, quite a big thing to happen to someone to realize that they want to change, because you can have your conscious desires. Oh, I'd like this to be different. I'd like that to be different. It's such a tiny part of the functioning of your mind. And of course, if that subconscious part is a bit like an iceberg, you've got like the 5 to 1, and then underneath you've got the 95% of the programs that are keeping you stuck and doing the same thing over and over again. So unless you kind of address that and look at it, you'll always be run by your subconscious. You'll always be run by those programs. And sometimes it takes a kind of big thing in someone's life to happen to make them go, I'm not doing that anymore. It's kind of keep hitting your head against the same brick wall until you just say, right, that's it. Because it's like when you have, you make a New Year's resolution and you want to make a change. And most people give up within 3 weeks because their subconscious is running the show. That is the key to transformation in the line of work that I do. And so once you've made that decision, yes, I'm going to change, it can feel a bit scary because there is the inner saboteur that will try and pull you back to where you were before. But it's, the possibility is exponential when you make that decision.
Yeah. I love, and someone's just commented actually on this video and just said, great analogy of upgrading your phone and upgrading yourself. It's so true. We often upgrade other areas of our life. We don't upgrade our mindset. We don't upgrade our self-beliefs and our stories, the narratives that we say to ourselves. And I really liked that analogy as well about, thinking about what would you say to your 7-year-old version of yourself? Because I think naturally we want to take care of people. We want to nurture people. We want to feel loved, and actually thinking of it from a adult to child perspective, talking to that part of us is really quite powerful.
And I always say to people, you're not who you think you are. You are a collection of beliefs, lots that you've inherited from other people and that you've understood from your experiences, because up until 7, we're just in our emotional mind. That a child up till 7 has no logic or consciousness, so they can't rationalize when they're told that they're not good enough. That just goes straight in like water into a sponge. It's just absorbed in, and that is, the more that happens, the more those beliefs become literally wired into your brain.
Yeah. And now that you've been through that yourself, Emma, are really upgrading your own mindset and your business, you very honestly shared that transformation for yourself of going from that kind of running a business to being the CEO of your business. What's possible for you now, Emma, going forward for the next 6 months? What's possible for you now that you've been able to upgrade your own mindset?
Yeah, so for me, it's going to be about helping more women take what is rightfully theirs. Because the more value we have on ourselves, the more money that we have, the more we can change the world. Women are more likely to invest in their communities and their families, in good causes. And so the words that keep coming to me is just, we have to stop feeling that we owe someone something. We owe ourselves more than we owe anyone. And so for me, it's about being more visible, speaking, getting my message out there more, being on podcasts, being first one. This is my podcast, Cherry. I've been on another couple, but not talking about these particular things before I have my niche, and a group program I want to launch. So lots of exciting things. Maybe my own podcast as well.
Maybe, definitely. I'm sitting here, for those of you listening to this on the podcast that can't see me on the video, I'm like literally sitting here, like I'm jumping around on my chair, I'm clapping. I'm just so excited because you're so right, Emma. It's, this is our time. This is your time to bring your mission, your vision into the world, to help more people, to get, to really help women to feel deserving of creating wealth, to feel like they can deserve to get their story and their message out there. And I'm just so delighted that you have come into the mastermind world and into my life, this world, Emma, and, and helping the other, the rest of the community really with their mission. And I've got some good vibes that there's going to be some more exciting things coming to you, including a possible podcast. So this is great.
Thank you.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Emma, for coming and joining us today. For anybody who is interested in joining our community, to collaborate and to really help you to move your business forward this year, and please feel free to join the link that's on the screen here if you're watching live, katherinemorgan.com/kite-mastermind. We do only have 4 spaces for the remaining 6 months of this year. We begin our next journey in July. And hopefully with a face-to-face retreat in Jersey. Who knows? I'm moving over to Jersey in July, so we're hoping that we can get together as part of that over in the Channel Islands later this year. And Emma, for anybody who would like to connect with you and the wonderful work that you're putting out to the world, where would be the best place for them to connect with you?
I've got my Facebook is Worthy and Wealthy Women, and you can find me on feelgoodenough.co.uk. That's my website. And thank you, Catherine. Thank you for the opportunity of being here. And yeah, anyone who is doubting whether Kite is right for them, then just get rid of that saboteur, because it could, just really take a look at what might be stopping you, because it's just beliefs. It's just beliefs, and you can change them. So go for
borrowed beliefs.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you once again, Emma. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, and thanks for listening, guys. And we'll see you all again very soon. Take care.
Bye.